So what do you do with your old Apple gear? Do you chuck it? Do you recycle it? Does it just sit in the back of a drawer somewhere and you forget about it? And then when you move, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that phone, weird. And it's like a blast from the past. Basic Apple Guy over on X posted a funny roundup of some repurposed Apple products. This is just a funny thing to take a look at, and I'm glad that he brought this up. And also some people underneath commented, we're gonna bring up some of those as well. Very briefly, if you haven't signed up for the Daily Tech newsletter, by the way, that's something you need to do immediately. Free, comes out on Fridays, doesn't waste your time. By the way, it comes with some free wallpaper every week, so why would you want to miss that? Let's look at this first one here. This is obviously the chassis of some Mac Pros stacked, and they've been converted into a shelving system, kind of like you see the wheels on the bottom, so you can roll this thing around. It's like an end table or a side table with some storage. The reactions to these are gonna go from, wow, that's really cool, and you've sort of like upcycled something that was just gonna be junk otherwise, to people who are like, no, every Apple thing needs to be in a museum, and I hate to see it treated like this. And I don't know, my reaction to this one is somewhere in the middle, because A, if you like Apple stuff, then this would be actually kind of cool to have around your office. I'm already envisioning what other sorts of recycled Apple products would make like really cool interior design additions. I feel like I'm the sort of person who would have a hard time doing this to an Apple product myself personally, but certainly the grill method is not what you would see me doing with the Mac. Now, I don't know if this is just for show, because it kind of looks like it, or if this was like turned into a working grill. And I guess the person that owns this is now the latest Apple stakeholder. Am I right? Now, here's an old school one. Somebody turned their old Mac into a beer dispenser. And actually, that aside, that's pretty funny actually. I sort of miss this design. I sort of like that aesthetic. I don't sort of like it, I really like it. I wish Apple would bring back the translucent kind of colorful look. It had a good vibe to it. Not that I don't like the professional direction that we've headed for the actual hardware. I think it looks killer. But every time I see this, even as a joke, or even when somebody's repurposed it into a beer dispenser, I still miss it. I really like this era of Apple design. Of course, for me, this would turn into a nitro tap. It'd be full of nitro coffee if I could make that happen. If you're watching this clip, it's very likely that you own an Apple device. And if you do, and you'd like to learn how to be more productive, I've got a course for you. It's called Learning to Be Productive. And it's gonna help you get more done in less time with less burnout in the Apple ecosystem. I'll link it up down below. Now, this next one is the worst though. I hate to even show this because, well, you'll see. This is super unfortunate. Clearly, this was just done just to do it. Doesn't even fit there. I mean, it's nice and clean. Like the box is a good looking box, but it doesn't fit here. This is a bad one. In fact, I think we gotta say this probably is an Android fan, right? Of everything on this list, this one actually makes me the least happy to view. But people have been posting their own stuff here. Like here's one where somebody turned their old Mac into a mirror. Now that's actually pretty clever, if you ask me. That actually works because it's still showing something. It's a display. This one I don't hate, actually. I think this is something that could have a longer life. People should like start an old used Apple furniture retailer and do this kind of thing, because I think that would fly off the shelves. Here's another one. I mean, I've seen this one before. Someone's turned this old Mac shell into a pot, a plant holder. That's interesting, And then there's the whole use an old Mac tower to make a table thing. I get that. That's not too new though. I've seen that before. Yeah, here's the better version of that, which is actually, I don't know if this is a bench or a table. No, that's gotta be a bench if you sit down on that. And it looks actually worn, like a lot of butts have sat there. But that's pretty cool, actually. I think a lot of people are offended in the comments seeing these, but actually, I like this a lot. I kind of like this aesthetic, and I want all of these things. If somebody made this a real thing, I would be buying, actually. I'm gonna be honest. This one I get. I mean, I see the utility there. I don't like the way it looks though. I would definitely pass on this one. That's not for me. This one's like forcing it. It's too obnoxious. It doesn't quite go. It works, but it's not cool. Do me a favor. If you know a place that sells these, like a shop online, I don't care if it's an Etsy shop or whatever, let me know. Drop it in the comments, because I'd actually be curious to check it out. If you make anything like this, let me know too. I'll feature you on the channel if you want to send some gear over to check out.